everybody, my name is Luna and welcome to Crit Role Conspiracies, the show where we talk about all the wild and wacky theories that critters have about Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Today's video is sponsored by the Gallant Goblin and their adorable plushies! But more on that later. Here is your spoiler warning. I'm gonna level with you. Normally I try and pinpoint exactly what it is that I'm going to be spoilering, whether it's earlier campaigns or one-shots, but we're just getting to the point now where there are so many connections between all of the different media that Critical Role is putting out, so consider this a blanket spoiler warning, and I will do my best to avoid major spoilers or to flag them when they come up for prior content. Okay, with that said, we need a mood change. Because we're doing a full episode of Ruidus rumors tonight, baby. We're gonna look at comments from earlier videos. We're gonna look at the source books. And as R.D. Barron said, we need to talk about the moons. Okay, so we kick off the episode with the meeting with Astani, which left us all waiting last week, and immediately Matt is dropping stuff left, right, and center. Astani gives a little bit of background and explains that he was studying the planes and their movements, as well as the movements of celestial bodies in the skies. He even mentioned working with Plane Rider Rin, which is not a new name to us. We first heard this name, I believe, in Campaign 2 when the Mighty Nine visited the elemental plane of fire and they found an office there that had notes from Plane Rider Rin talking about how they had noticed in their research that there was this kind of growing influence that would sort of rise up and affect arcane things and then slowly recede again, and then rise up again and then slowly recede, very much like the cycle of a moon. Plane Rider Rin also appears in Tal'Dorei Reborn as a member of the Arcana Pansophical, a community of high-level mages who are dedicated to preserving the truth in magic and making sure that magic is not misused as it was in the past during the Age of Arcanum. Okay, so back to Astani. The Loomis twins had become kind of fans of his and were seeking out meetings with him so that they could discuss their own research and his findings, and they had been visiting him for several years. In the last year or so, they had been focusing more on Ruidus. So in case you're new here, we're gonna do a quick Ruidus refresh. In the sky of Exandria, there are... Exandria! In the sky of Exandria, there are two moons. There's Catha, who is the big white round moon that is often seen very much like our own moon in the sky, and then there is Ruidus, which is a much smaller, much darker red moon that doesn't seem to follow any particular consistent cycle. It has a 6-month orbit around the planet, but it will sometimes appear randomly and it will sometimes burn brighter than usual, and it's very strange and mysterious. So, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount gives us a little bit of info. It says, little is known of Ruidus, though older cultures and texts speak of it as an omen of ill tidings or even a remnant of a betrayer god left abandoned and unrealized. Then Tal'Dorei Reborn expands a little bit further. Ruidus is so surrounded by disquieting rumors and folkloric tales of misfortune that some believe another unknown god or power rules this small reddish-brown moon. Ruidus' haunting half-year orbit, combined with its eerie and unexplainable tendency to simply not appear in the sky on certain nights or glow with unknown light, creating an unexpected full moon, has only added to its mythic reputation as an omen of ill fortune. And then Call of the Netherdeep, which is the latest Critical Role book came out, gave us even a little bit more info. During the founding, a time when the gods still walked the face of Exandria, the world's divine creators discovered an unidentifiable power seeping through the fabric of reality. Legends assert that this alien influence was a threat to all life on Exandria, and the gods banded together to banish it. This cancerous incursion of dark power is said to have crystallized into Ruidus, the small vermilion moon that hangs in the sky, along with Catha, the world's natural moon. The gods agreed to create a tale about Ruidus to conceal its alien origin from the mortals of the world, informing them that it was a moon of ill omen and its magical influence was always to be avoided. This tale, concocted by the gods, was not a lie, for Ruidus' alien magic twists the fate of those who are born or embark on ventures while bathed in its vermilion light. So, we know that Ruidus has dark alien power. The gods banded together to banish it and to trap it into Ruidus. But Ruidus still manages to exert some kind of influence among people who are born under its full light. This is getting into some X-Files stuff and I love it. Okay, so back to the Loomis twins. They were studying, in particular, flares of Ruidus, so these moments when the moon would burn more brightly without any seemable explanation. These flares are inconsistent and can sometimes be decades between them and sometimes mere months. Astani says that the last flare was about 2.5 years ago. We also learned that Astani worked at the Aidenlin Seminary, which is where Professor Khadija Sumal is. So Professor Sumal was the one who wrote the study that had Imogen's mother's name in. So Bellshells are very interested in that person. Now, Astani is not really familiar with that person's work and can't really comment on it, but basically says, I think you should go to the seminary if you want more information, and that the Omen archive there is kind of dedicated to pooling and recording all of this information about Ruidus, so that they really need to go there if they want more detailed information. Oh, Imogen/Laura looked so frustrated in this moment, and I really felt that with her. It felt like we've been waiting for these answers and we were just so close and yet so far still. The party asks Astani about the twins' research and whether or not he has access to any of their notes or their journals, and unfortunately he says no, he doesn't have the pages in particular. Very disappointing. He does recall that the twins had all of their belongings on them the day of the attack, but those belongings were not there when the bodies were recovered, so the attackers clearly stole their research. But the question is, why? You know the drill. Get in the comments. Tell me what you think. He also tells the party later that the twins had apparently found something really important or something exciting that they wanted to share with him. And it was on that day, before they got the chance to share that information with him, that they were attacked. So it really seems like they uncovered something that these attackers didn't want them to know about and didn't want them sharing with other people. We've heard the story about the attack on the twins as well as the attack on the Aeroshari 6 years ago a couple of times now, and the connecting factor is the fact that the attackers afterwards disappeared or like melted away into this like grey sludge. This is really reminiscent of the Simulacrum spell, which is a wizard spell that allows a wizard to create essentially a clone of a creature using snow or ice, and that clone can act as if they were the creature themselves. Once they are reduced to 0 hit points, they melt away again back into the snow that they were made from. So maybe these are Simulacrum made from something else that they're melting away into. Also, there's a certain little someone who's been known to use clones in the past, Delilah Briarwood, so maybe there is a connection there. Astani and the Bellshells discuss people who are Ruinous Born, people who are born under the light of a full Ruidus. These people are said to have strange markings on their body and potentially prophetic visions and dreams, and he lists some historical figures who are said to have been Ruidus Born. One of them, interestingly, is the Raven Queen, or the person who ended up ascending to be the Raven Queen. That is a very interesting little tidbit. Fern asks if Keyleth could be Ruidus Born, surmising that maybe Keyleth was attacked because she was Ruidus Born, that these attackers are going after these people. But again, Astani directs them to the seminary and the Omen archive. Of course, the elephant in the room is that clearly Imogen is Ruidus Born. She has strange markings on her arm. She dreams of the red storms. It seems likely that her mother was as well, given that she was included in this study of people who are experiencing these dreams of red storms. So I wonder what that means, that Imogen is Ruidus Born of someone who was Ruidus Born. Maybe that's kind of a like burgeoning of power or something. Luna, run. No, I won't. No, I need to get through the storm. I need to get through the storm so I can order one of these adorable plushies from the Gallant Goblin. Was that a good segue? Clever, loyal, and incredibly soft, a kobold plushie is the perfect companion for any tabletop adventure. At 10 inches tall, your plushie buddy fits in your arms and on your shelves. Each new funding goal in the Kobold Plushies Kickstarter unlocks new colors and classes, and you can even swap some of their clothing and gear. You can also get pins, inspiration coins, and digital goodies. Which colorful kobold will you take home? Check out all your options and back today at koboldplush.com. I mean, just look at this little guy. Oh, he's so cute. He's got his little fire and his little fire. All right, taking a little break from the Ruidus talk. The party decide to head out for a bit and investigate the site of the attack. Now, the attack happened a few months ago, so there isn't very much to be found, but Orem does kind of spring up into a tree and look for some signs there, because the attack on the Aeroshari happened by people dropping from trees. He sees some gashes in the wood, and inside that is like a sticky tar-like substance, potentially the substance of whatever the creatures melted into or out of, I guess. So he kind of takes a little sample of that. There is a fountain nearby, and Ashton is curious if the people kind of melted away using the waterways or using the sewage system. So he goes to investigate the fountain. And as part of the statuary of this fountain, there is a pot, and he puts his hand inside and his hand just keeps going. So of course, what are you gonna do? The party want to investigate, so Fern turns into a frog using her druid ability, and she dives on in. To be fair, the party did take some precautions. They did make that little frog holster to put around her, you know. She swims through the portal. I'm assuming it's a portal. She swims through it and ends up in a large expanse of water, almost like the ocean, except that it's fresh water, and she senses land masses nearby. There are also currents and waves in the water that are changing in temperature and also have, I think he said, like an irony kind of taste or smell. And as Fern is getting ready to swim back, she sees two lights coming towards her, getting larger and larger and larger. And then she manages to get popped back out of the portal or whatever it is. Okay, so what the F is up with this? Is this a portal to the elemental plane of water? Maybe. Is this a portal to the Netherdeep? Maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you think. After that little aquatic adventure, the party decide to stock up for the heist, going around to various shops in the town to get their supplies, and they pick up all the usual things, you know, like healing potions, a fishing rod, some limes, a creepy marionette. Just normal standard things that you need for a little bit of burglary, you know? FCG does some particularly good deception where he manages to convince a shopkeeper to tell him what the other party bought, and we get confirmation that the party are indeed the same group of people that they came across on the road on the way to the town. It also seems like this party has cleared out the town of a lot of useful items, which is probably going to bite the Bell's hole in the butt, but we have to wait until next week to find out about that. The party head back to Astani's house to look through his magical telescope at Ruidus. Oh, excuse me. By the way, the idea of an arcane telescope is just so freaking cool. Like, telescopes are really cool to begin with, but then like an arcane one just sounds really cool. They all take turns looking through the telescope, and they all roll so badly on their perception, but thank goodness Orim rolls a 19 and he spots through the telescope that the surface of Ruidus is covered in roiling red storms. He shows this to Imogen, who is totally freaked out by this. She kind of backs away. She is, very distressed by the idea of the storms being on this moon, and I guess getting confirmation that they are real, that there is something going on here. Imogen kind of thinks about all of her dreams, and she realizes that they are connected to the cycle of Ruidus, that they do tend to kind of go through these 6-month cycles where there will be lots and lots and lots, and then they'll kind of recede away again, and then there'll be lots and lots and lots, and then they'll recede away again. And in fact, we're coming up to a time point where they're going to start getting more frequent because of the phase that Ruidus is in. FCG suggests that they visit Imogen's home and ask her father for some answers about, you know, both her mother and about what's going on with her, but she is extremely reluctant to do this. She does not seem keen at all. It definitely seems like there is some baggage there's some history, and she mentions that her father doesn't like people, or doesn't like being around people who can read his thoughts, so there clearly is a lot of tension there. The party thank Astani and head back to get some sleep, and Imogen goes to sleep holding the Gnarl Rock, the purple stone that they found in the Shade Mother's den, and she has the dream again, the dream of the Red Storm, but this time, instead of running, she turns, she faces the storm, and she walks into it. She sees a figure, a humanoid figure, and then stepping out from behind that figure are almost like duplicates or copies, or just like similar figures, until I think he said there were 10 of them. I'm wondering if this is somehow connected to the simulacrum that potentially the attackers might be. Just this idea of having like mirror images of something or duplicates of something. I don't know, it just feels a little odd. Imogen reaches out to touch one of them, but she discovers that they're not actually there. It's just a vision. And then she wakes up and she tells everybody what happened. They rally around her and they comfort her, and Fern even makes an adorable like friendship bracelet so that when she's dreaming, she can look down and remember that her friends are there with her, which is that's really sweet. And Imogen does notice that ever so slightly, those markings on her arms have grown. Okay, we leave Ruidus behind for now with many, many questions. the party head over to the museum, ready to start the heist. They meet the rival party, who we learn are called The Verdict. Their task is to recover a jade earring before the other party. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate how extra Hytroga is? I am obsessed. I'm really excited to see this heist next week because I think having a ticking clock is really going to make it fun and dynamic. I think a lot of the issue I personally have sometimes with dungeon crawls or heists is that sometimes the party gets analysis paralysis, where it just takes a long time to decide how they're going to do things, and then they're being very cautious, like, of course, because they don't want to get killed by stuff. But by the fact that they are racing against another party, I'm hoping that they're just going to be like, go, 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 and it's gonna feel really fast and fun. Whew, okay, that was pretty much the end of the episode. That was a big one this week. I know I've definitely missed some things, so please let me know in the comments below anything that jumped out at you that you think is really important that I've missed. Before we finish up, let's dive into some of your comments from last week's video. But first of all, John, this is for you. Kitty! Last week we talked a lot about Laudna and her origins, and some of you pointed out some juicy info that I had missed, which Marisha sneakily put into the playlist that she made for Laudna. This was published on the Critical Role website last week. However, Laudna's rest would certainly not be eternal. The necromantic blast unleashed by Delia Briarwood would latch on to that rare magic spark that was lingering in Laudna's still veins. Confused, terrified, and alone, Laudna would wriggle her way free from the noose around her neck and run as fast and as far away as she could from the only place she's ever known. Little did she know her fate was intertwined with the woman who broke the world. Ooh. So yes, this confirms my theory, yay, I got something right, that Laudna's magic mingled with Delilah's magic to revive her and form whatever weird relationship they have right now. Marisha also confirmed on Four-Sided Dive that she was indeed the double for Vex. It was a great insight into the thought process behind Laudna, and it was really interesting to hear her talking about how they came up with the character. And Matt also had some really great insight about how they wanted there to be these fun connections to earlier campaigns, but they didn't want it to feel overshadowing. So they wanted to make sure that all of the characters in this campaign had their own story and their own narrative, and they weren't just footnotes to an earlier story. So I thought that was really cool. EXU Kaimol aired last week, and there was a new character introduced to the CR world, the adorable Harangon bunny girl, Morrigan. Morrigan, hey? The same name of Fern's grandmother. Huh? Well, I don't know why I'm getting so attitudey. Right at the end of part 2 of that EXU series, we learned that Morrigan was pushed out of the Feywild through a portal by another woman called Morrigan. The question is, what is Fern's grandmother doing pushing people through portals? Capsy theorized that maybe there is a war going on in the Feywild, so Fern's grandmother is kind of pushing out children or young creatures through these portals to try and get them to safety. I don't know. It's definitely got to be connected to the Nightmare King somehow, but I still don't really see... I don't see how the threads are aligning. Let me know what you think. We're kind of out of time on this video. There was heaps more I wanted to talk about, but we just had so many lore drops this week, so hopefully next week we will get to them. My brain has turned to mush. There's so much to process. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. A huge number of you guys that watch these videos regularly are not subscribed, and unfortunately the algorithm just really loves it when you are subscribed. So if you're enjoying them, please do consider. It actually does help me out a lot, and I have a goal to reach 10,000 subscribers, and we're getting pretty close. Our brand new art was by Jake Tooth and Nail. You can check out his work on Instagram. I've put a link in the description below. Thank you once again to Gallant Goblin for sponsoring this video and sending me this adorable plushie. Thank you as always to my patrons who really helped make this video, and a special welcome to new patron Ella Bella. If you'd like to get access to my exclusive podcast Flum Friends, you can do so by joining at the link below or pressing the big join button underneath this video. And until next week, always drink your lime juice hot, I guess. It's all I got, I'm sorry.